Hi guys, hope everybody's okay. It's Rob from the Exit Light channel. Hope everybody's safe and everybody's okay. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you find this entertaining. We are going to be doing a podcast on the Appalachian Mountains and some of the cryptids that happen to be living there. But today I am going to talk about some of the folklore and some of the scary stuff that goes on. So if you've come over from TikTok just to have a look, you're very welcome. If you can hit that like button, please, that would be really helpful for the channel. And if you're not already subscribed, then please subscribe so you'll be notified of any new content when it comes out. Anyway, guys, let's get this show on the road, so to speak. The first story we're going to talk about is tracked by unknown forces. A young couple were hiking on the Appalachian Trail in the southern part of Virginia when they experienced something they could not explain. While they were asleep in their tent one night, they suddenly woke up to the sound of rustling and odd noises coming from outside of their tent. The man went out to investigate and managed to scare off the figures he saw lurking around. He almost chased after them, but then decided against it. The next night they made camp with their backs to a cliff in order to be prepared. Very clever. They both slept with guns next to them, and sure enough, the figures returned. Once the man announced that they were armed, the figures retreated. The next day the couple hustled to get out of there. Around midday they rounded a corner and saw the silhouette of a figure standing in the distance, watching them from afar. They quickly were able to get off the trail and back to civilization, but the whole time they felt like they were being watched. Well, that is scary. That is really, really scary. Our next story, taken by mysterious men. In 1988, a man was hiking along the trail when he underwent an awful experience, perhaps more frightening than a ghostly encounter. He was hiking on the trail when he noticed a bright light coming from the forest next to him. Not wanting to bother anyone, he didn't investigate, but set up camp somewhere close by. He woke in the middle of the night to find men standing over his hammock. Startled, the men quickly fled and yelled to unseen people that the hiker was awake. The hiker was terrified and quickly packed up as much stuff as he could to make distance between him and the unknown people. A few days of non-stop hiking finally allowed the hiker to relax a little bit. But that night he was sleeping in his hammock when suddenly he was cut down, wrapped up and dragged away. He was beaten mercilessly. I can't say that word. He was beaten a lot while the people shouted to one another. They were preparing something. Luckily, the hiker was able to cut through the hammock and escape. Even though he made it back to civilization, police inquiries into finding the people who kidnapped him came to nothing. This isn't the Appalachian Trail. Children usually make everything creepier. And that's what makes this man's tale even more frightening. By his account, he was backpacking along the Appalachian. Why are people going... I can't understand why they would go there anyway. But why would you go on your own? Maybe because all your friends have got sense. He was backpacking along the Appalachian Trail with a few people when something bizarre happened. He was with a group. Sorry, I apologise. He and his group woke one morning to find their campsite surrounded by a thick mist. As they were packing up, they started to hear children's laughter coming from... Oh, that would terrify the shit out of me. Coming from all around them. Once they had done packing up, a group of children led by one parent walked out of the mist and started to walk past the group. The kids asked the backpackers where they were going, and someone responded, "We are hiking the Appalachian Trail." The kids started to laugh, and one of them said, "This isn't the Appalachian Trail." They kept walking. Throughout the day, the campers could hear the children giggling all around them. No. Kids, it's like Children of the Corn. That film isn't even scary, but because it's got kids in it, it is scary. It's crazy. In May 1972, a hiker saw a ghost from another time. The hiker was walking alone and noticed a heavy ground fog that started to surround him. He looked up and saw a person walking with a heavy coat, wide-brimmed hat. The man slowly staggered about, looking at the ground as if he was looking for something he had lost. The man started walking towards the hiker, still looking down at the ground, so the hiker moved to avoid him. When they were really close to each other, the man suddenly looked up at the hiker, who instantly became afraid of the man's cloudy blue eyes that stared straight through him. He was also shocked to realise that the man's clothes all seemed to come from a different time period. The hiker tried to say hello, but the man did not respond. After the hiker walked a little distance, he turned back only to discover that the man had completely disappeared. I don't know. Why? The Pierce Pond Ghost. A man was hiking along the Pierce Pond in Maine when he experienced a fright that he'll never forget. One night he was enjoying his campfire when he suddenly spotted a figure walking a short distance away from the campsite. It was ghostly in appearance and looked like a woodsy outdoorsman type with what appeared to be fishing gear. It wasn't long before the figure faded into the night. The man didn't know what to think of it, but the next night the ghostly figure reappeared. Only this time it stopped and stared at the hiker. Getting the message, the hiker abandoned his camp, ran off into the forest and hid behind a tree and waited until morning to return, pack up his stuff and get out of there quickly. A young girl sees her first ghost. Sometimes ghosts don't have to do much to be creepy. A young girl who was hiking with her parents experienced her first ghostly encounter after they stopped to camp for the night. Her father was fast asleep, but something was frightening her and she couldn't keep her eyes shut. The next morning she found her mother and asked if they could go for a walk. While they were out exploring, her mother suddenly stopped. The girls followed her gaze and saw a hazy apparition standing against a tree not too far away. It was a man who looked calm and sad. After a tense few moments, the man just faded away, leaving the mother and the child alone. Oh, some of these are... Right, this will probably be our last one, spearfinger. The spearfinger legend originates from the Cherokee Indian. Me and Tracy were only just talking about the indigenous Native Americans. The spearfinger legend originates from the Cherokee Indians that had been used to scare children for years. She's a witch-like hag who's said to be able to take on the persona of a sweet old grandmother. She lurks around the highest peaks of the Smoky Mountains, keeping a special eye out for children who have wandered away from their parents. She likes to prey on their fear, telling them she will help them find their parents, but slowly sings them to sleep Once the child is sleeping soundly, Spearfinger uses her fingers to gouge out. Sorry guys, if you're eating your tea. Uses her finger to gouge out their liver and eat it in front of them. On that cheerful note, I think we will call it a day. And like I said earlier, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can with our new podcast about the Appalachian cryptics. And anyway, guys, you take care. God bless, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye.